Picture this, it's 2008, and Elon Musk is staring into the abyss of financial ruin. Tesla, his electric car dream, is sputtering with production delays. SpaceX, his audacious bet on private space travel, has just watched its third rocket explode in spectacular fashion. The vultures are circling, and the banks are calling. Elon's personal fortune? Nearly wiped out. His credit cards, maxed to the limit. His own mother is on the phone, begging him to sell everything before it's too late. The media vultures are already writing obituaries for both Tesla and SpaceX. This isn't just a bad day at the office. This is the kind of crisis that crushes empires and shatters dreams. For most people, it would be time to fold, to admit defeat, to slink away with whatever scraps of dignity remain. But Elon Musk isn't most people. As the world watched, expecting to witness the final collapse of a once promising visionary, Elon was quietly formulating a strategy so bold, so audacious, that it would either catapult him to unimaginable heights or cement his place in history as the ultimate cautionary tale. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Tesla's production line had ground to a halt, with pre-ordered cars collecting dust instead of rolling off the assembly line. Each day of delay burned through cash like rocket fuel, and investors were growing restless. The company that promised to revolutionize transportation was teetering on the edge of becoming another footnote in automotive history. Meanwhile, at Cape Canaveral, the smoldering wreckage of SpaceX's third failed launch attempt served as a grim reminder of the unforgiving nature of the space industry. Millions of dollars had quite literally gone up in smoke, and with it, the confidence of potential clients and investors. The dream of making space travel accessible seemed further away than ever. Elon's personal finances were in free fall. The man who had once sold PayPal for a fortune was now living on borrowed time and borrowed money. His assets, tied up in his struggling companies, were worth a fraction of what they once were. The calls from creditors were relentless, each one a stark reminder of how quickly fortunes can change. Friends and family watched with growing concern as the toll began to show. Elon's usually boundless energy was replaced by a haunted look, the weight of two collapsing companies, and his own financial ruin etched into every line on his face. Sleepless nights blended into grueling days as he fought to keep his dreams alive. The media, once enamored with the charismatic entrepreneur, now sharpened their knives. Headlines screamed of impending doom. Analysts predicted the imminent collapse of both Tesla and SpaceX, and competitors began to circle, eyeing the valuable patents and technologies that might soon be up for grabs in a fire sale. It was in this moment of darkness, when all seemed lost, that Elon Musk made a decision that would alter the course of his life and potentially change the future of technology and space exploration. Instead of retreating, instead of admitting defeat, he chose to double down on his vision. But what exactly did Elon do when it felt like everything was lost? What strategy could possibly turn the tide against such overwhelming odds? Before we reveal Elon's audacious plan, let's pause for a moment. Think back to a time in your own life when failure seemed inevitable, when the smart move, the safe move, was to cut your losses and walk away. What made you keep going? What reserves of strength or belief did you tap into? For Elon Musk, it was a combination of unwavering belief in his vision and a willingness to risk everything on one last, desperate gamble. As the walls closed in, Elon formulated a plan so risky that it would make even the most daring entrepreneurs balk. First, he liquidated every personal asset he could get his hands on. His prized possessions, investments, anything that could be converted to cash was sold off. This wasn't just belt-tightening. This was financial scorched earth. Next, Elon went on a furious fundraising spree. He leveraged every connection, called in every favor, and pitched his vision with the desperation of a man who knew this was his last shot. Against all odds, he managed to secure a lifeline of fresh capital, but it came with strings attached and the clock ticking. But the most audacious part of Elon's strategy was yet to come. With SpaceX on the brink of collapse after 3 failed launches, Elon made the decision to pour every last cent into one final launch attempt. This wasn't just high stakes. This was betting the entire farm on a single spin of the roulette wheel. The preparations for this 4th launch were unlike anything SpaceX had done before. Every component was triple-checked, every calculation scrutinized. The entire team worked around the clock, fueled by a mixture of desperation and determination. They knew that failure this time wouldn't just mean the end of SpaceX, it would likely spell doom for Tesla as well. As the launch day approached, the tension was palpable. Elon, usually the picture of confidence, couldn't hide the strain. This was it. Everything he had worked for, everything he believed in, was riding on the next few minutes. The countdown began. 10-9-8. The rocket ignited, flames licking at the launch pad. 7-6, 5. It began to rise, slowly at first, then with increasing speed. For 3-1, liftoff. The Falcon 1 rocket soared into the sky, carrying with it the hopes and dreams of Elon Musk and the entire SpaceX team. For agonizing minutes, they watched, hardly daring to breathe. And then, finally, confirmation. The launch was a success. The payload had reached orbit. The implications of this success were immediate and far-reaching. SpaceX had just become the first private company to launch a liquid-fueled rocket into orbit. The impossible had been achieved. But the story doesn't end there. The success of this launch set off a chain reaction that would transform both SpaceX and Tesla. With renewed credibility, SpaceX secured a $1.6 billion contract with NASA, providing the company with the stability and resources it desperately needed. For Tesla, the timing couldn't have been more critical. The boost in Elon's profile and the demonstration of his ability to deliver against all odds renewed investor confidence. Fresh capital flowed in, allowing Tesla to overcome its production challenges and begin delivering on its promises. In the span of a few short months, Elon Musk had gone from the brink of total failure to standing on the cusp of revolutionizing two industries. The man who had been ridiculed and written off was now being hailed as a visionary. This isn't just a story of financial recovery. It's a testament to the power of unwavering belief, of the willingness to take monumental risks in pursuit of a dream. Elon Musk's journey from near bankruptcy to redefining the possibilities of electric vehicles and space travel serves as a blueprint for how audacious belief and high-stakes risk can literally redefine our future. As we reflect on this incredible turnaround, it's worth asking ourselves, what would you be willing to risk everything for? What vision or dream do you hold that's worth betting it all on? Elon Musk's story reminds us that sometimes, when everything seems lost, that's when the greatest opportunities arise. It's in those moments of crisis that true visionaries are forged, and the course of history can be altered by those brave enough to take the leap. So the next time you face a moment of crisis, when failure seems inevitable and giving up feels like the only option, remember Elon Musk and that crucial fourth launch. Remember that sometimes the greatest comebacks are born from the darkest moments, and ask yourself, what's your fourth launch? What impossible dream are you ready to bet everything on? The year was 2008, and Elon Musk stood at the precipice of financial ruin. His companies, Tesla and SpaceX, were hemorrhaging money. The global financial crisis had sent investors running for the hills. But instead of throwing in the towel, Musk made a decision that would alter the course of his life and potentially change the world. As creditors circled and bankruptcy loomed, Musk faced a crucial choice. He could accept rescue offers that would strip him of control over his companies, or he could double down on his vision. In a move that left many stunned, Musk chose the latter. He refused to relinquish control, instead opting for a high-stakes gamble that would either cement his legacy or destroy everything he had built. The first step in Musk's audacious plan was to convince Tesla's existing shareholders to invest even more. In a time when most were cutting their losses, Musk proposed a rights offering. He stood before his investors, eyes blazing with determination, and laid out his vision for the future of electric vehicles. It was a hard sell, but Musk's unwavering conviction began to sway even the most skeptical minds. As Tesla's coffers began to fill, Musk turned his attention to SpaceX. The fledgling rocket company had already seen 3 failed launches, each one burning through millions of dollars. Now, with funds dwindling and credibility on the line, Musk knew that the fourth launch would be make or break. Failure would mean the end of SpaceX and likely drag Tesla down with it. But Musk wasn't content to simply hope for the best. He took personal responsibility for the success of the fourth launch, pouring every ounce of his expertise and energy into the project. He worked around the clock, sleeping on the factory floor and personally inspecting every component. His dedication was infectious, inspiring his team to push beyond their limits. As the launch date approached, Musk made perhaps his boldest move yet. He began selling off his personal assets, starting with his sprawling California mansion. Luxury cars, prized possessions, even sentimental items. Nothing was off limits. Musk was literally betting everything he owned on the success of his companies. The sight of their CEO liquidating his life savings sent shockwaves through both companies. Some saw it as desperation, others as madness. But for those who truly believed in Musk's vision, it was the ultimate show of commitment. If he was willing to risk it all, how could they do any less? In a pivotal moment, Musk gathered his teams at SpaceX and Tesla. The atmosphere was tense. the weight of impending doom hanging heavy in the air. But as Musk began to speak, something changed. His words, filled with passion and unwavering belief, ignited a fire in the hearts of his employees. "This is our moment," he declared, his voice ringing with conviction. "Everything we've worked for comes down to this. We will not fail." As news of Musk's all-or-nothing strategy spread, investors watched with a mixture of fear and fascination. Many thought he had lost his mind, risking personal bankruptcy on what seemed like impossible odds. But others were intrigued by his absolute conviction. If Musk was willing to bet everything, maybe, just maybe, he knew something they didn't. The days ticked by, each one bringing SpaceX closer to its moment of truth. The fourth Falcon 1 rocket stood on the launch pad, a gleaming monument to human ingenuity and perseverance. As the countdown began, hearts raced and breaths were held. This wasn't just a rocket launch, it was the culmination of years of work, billions of dollars, and one man's unshakable belief in the impossible. The engines ignited, and for a moment, the world stood still. Then, with a deafening roar, the Falcon 1 lifted off. As it climbed higher and higher, cheers erupted in mission control. But the celebration was premature. The real test was yet to come. Would the rocket make it to orbit, or would it join its predecessors in fiery failure? Minutes stretched into eternity as the Falcon 1 soared through the atmosphere. And then, finally, confirmation came through. The rocket had achieved orbit. SpaceX had done it. The impossible had become possible. The success of the fourth launch was more than just a technological achievement. It was the lifeline Musk's companies desperately needed. Within weeks, NASA awarded SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract, instantly transforming the company's fortunes. Tesla, buoyed by renewed investor confidence, saw its stock price soar. Musk's gamble had paid off in spectacular fashion. From the brink of bankruptcy, he had catapulted his companies into the stratosphere of success. But more than that, he had proven that audacious belief and calculated risk-taking could indeed change the world. As the dust settled and the reality of their triumph sank in, Musk gathered his teams once more. This time, there were no worried faces or furrowed brows. Instead, he was met with beaming smiles and tears of joy. "We did it," Musk said simply, his own eyes glistening with emotion. But this is just the beginning. The story of Elon Musk's near bankruptcy and triumphant comeback is more than just a tale of business success. It's a testament to the power of unwavering belief, strategic risk-taking, and the courage to bet everything on a dream. Musk didn't just save his companies. He redefined what was possible in both the automotive and aerospace industries. But as we reflect on this incredible journey, we're left with a burning question. Would you have the courage to do the same? Would you risk everything, your wealth, your reputation, your very future, on one last shot at your dream? It's easy to admire Musk's boldness from afar. But imagine yourself in his shoes, with creditors closing in and the world telling you to give up. Would you have the strength to double down? Musk's story challenges us to examine our own beliefs and ambitions. How many of us play it safe, content with mediocrity rather than risking failure in pursuit of greatness? How many world-changing ideas never see the light of day because their creators lack the courage to go all in? Perhaps the most powerful lesson from Musk's near miss with bankruptcy is that our greatest limitations are often self-imposed. When faced with seemingly insurmountable odds, Musk didn't retreat. He advanced. He refused to accept failure as an option, instead choosing to rewrite the rules of what was possible. As we look to the future, filled with its own set of challenges and opportunities, Musk's example stands as a beacon. It reminds us that with enough belief, determination, and strategic risk-taking, we can overcome any obstacle. The question is, are we willing to take that leap? So, as you contemplate your own dreams and ambitions, ask yourself, what would you do if failure wasn't an option? What mountains would you move? What innovations would you pursue? If you had the courage to bet it all, the answer to that question might just change your life and the world. September 2008. The world's financial markets are in freefall. Banks are collapsing, and Elon Musk, he's about to lose everything. 3 failed rocket launches, a struggling electric car company burning through cash, personal savings drained to zero for most. This would be the end, but for Elon Musk, it was just the beginning of the greatest comeback in business history. Picture this, a lone figure stands on a launch pad in the South Pacific, staring up at a gleaming white rocket. This is Falcon 1, SpaceX's last hope. The tension is palpable, hearts race, breaths are held, because this isn't just another launch attempt. It's a $100 million gamble that will determine the fate of 2 companies and one man's entire future. The countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, ignition. The rocket roars to life, flames erupting from its base. It climbs higher and higher, piercing the clouds, and then silence. Has it failed again? Suddenly, cheers erupt from Mission Control. Falcon 1 has done it. It's reached orbit, the first privately funded liquid fuel rocket in history to achieve this feat. In that moment, everything changes. But how did Elon get here? How did he go from the brink of bankruptcy to pulling off the impossible? The answer lies in a strategy so audacious, so risky, that most would call it insane. Rewind to early 2008. Tesla is hemorrhaging cash, unable to deliver its promised roadster. SpaceX has suffered 3 consecutive launch failures. Musk's personal fortune, once over $200 million, has evaporated. He's living off credit cards, borrowing money from friends just to make payroll. Most CEOs would cut their losses, not Elon. He does the unthinkable. He doubles down. He sells his prized McLaren F1 supercar. He leverages his last remaining assets. He convinces investors to pour more money into what looks like a sinking ship. Why? Because Elon believes. He believes in his vision of sustainable energy and space exploration with an intensity that borders on obsession. And he's willing to risk absolutely everything to make it a reality. This is the secret at the heart of Elon's comeback. When others retreat, he advances. When conventional wisdom says cut your losses, he says bet it all. It's a high-stakes game of chicken with fate itself. And in September 2008, it pays off spectacularly. The successful Falcon 1 launch isn't just a technological breakthrough. It's a signal to the world that SpaceX is for real. That private spaceflight isn't just possible, it's here. The impact is immediate and profound. NASA, watching closely, makes a decision that will change the course of space exploration. Just days after the launch, they award SpaceX a $1.6 billion contract to resupply the International Space Station. Let that sink in. In the span of a week, SpaceX goes from the edge of bankruptcy to having over $1 billion in future revenue locked in. It's a lifeline, a vote of confidence, and a game changer all rolled into one. But Elon's not done. He takes this momentum and uses it to save Tesla. A crucial rights offering, once seen as a desperate last resort, suddenly becomes oversubscribed. Investors, emboldened by the SpaceX success, pour money into Tesla. The stock stabilizes. Production of the Roadster ramps up, and the ambitious plans for the Model S, a car that will revolutionize the auto industry, move full steam ahead. In boardrooms and living rooms across Silicon Valley, the conversation shifts. Elon Musk is no longer seen as a dreamer on the verge of failure. He's now hailed as a visionary, a risk-taker who can deliver the impossible. This is the moment. As Elon himself would later say, we moved from survival to believing we could be successful. It's a pivot point, not just in his career, but in the history of 2 industries. But here's the thing. This wasn't luck. It wasn't a Hail Mary that happened to connect. It was a calculated gamble, based on unwavering belief and a willingness to risk everything when others were running for cover. And that's the real lesson here. The secret strategy that turned Elon Musk from near bankrupt to billionaire. When the world zigs, he zags. When conventional wisdom says play it safe, he goes all in. It's a blueprint for success that Elon would use again and again. The Gigafactory. When others said battery production couldn't scale. The reusable rocket. When the industry insisted it was impossible. Self-driving cars. When skeptics scoffed at the very idea. Each time, Elon bet big. Each time, he risked it all. And each time, he redefined what was possible. But this strategy isn't just for billionaires and rocket scientists. It's a mindset, a way of approaching challenges that can apply to anyone with a dream and the courage to pursue it. Think about it. What would you be willing to risk to save your dream, your savings, your reputation, everything you own? Because that's what it might take. That's the level of commitment that separates the Elon Musks of the world from everyone else. It's not about being reckless. It's about having the conviction to go all in when you truly believe in something. It's about having the courage to stand alone, to face ridicule and skepticism, and to keep pushing forward when everyone else has given up. This is the essence of Elon's secret strategy. Absolute commitment, unwavering belief, the willingness to risk it all for a shot at changing the world. And it raises a profound question. Could this level of commitment be the edge that separates failure from legend? Could it be the key that unlocks not just personal success, but breakthroughs that benefit all of humanity? As we look at the challenges facing our world today, climate change, energy crises, the need for interplanetary travel, perhaps what we need most are more people willing to think like Elon, More visionaries ready to bet everything on ideas that could reshape our future. Because in the end, that's what Elon's story teaches us. It's not just about rockets and electric cars. It's about the power of belief, the transformative potential of risk, and the incredible things that can happen when one person refuses to give up on a dream, no matter the odds. So ask yourself, what's your impossible dream? What would you be willing to risk to make it a reality? Because in that answer, you might just find your own blueprint for changing the world.